Real people, real crimes, real life drama.
In the mid-1980s, a young funeral home director named Bernie Tiede came to the little East Texas town of Carthage.
It's beautiful, yes. I love the people here in Carthage.
Carthage is just a small town of 6,000 people. A lot of people got very wealthy on oil and gas. There's a lot of little widows in town who have a lot of money, none more so than Mrs. Marjorie Nugent.
Bernie Tiede was running a con on my grandmother.
He picked up a gun, shot her 4 times in the back, and then he buried her in her own deep freeze.
My name is Bernie Tiede. You may have heard about me.
This is my story.
They did a movie about me called Bernie.
Jack Black was going to play you?
Yes.
Richard Linklater is my favorite filmmaker I've ever worked with.
All right, cut.
I'm Rick Linklater, and I directed the movie Bernie. There was something about this story that stayed with me, and I think it was that relationship, the Miss Nugent-Bernie relationship.
And the Bernie Tiede that you know, is he a good man?
He's the sweetest guy. You know, he's a great man.
Very complex character. Is that part of what attracted you to this film?
The thing about playing Bernie is that he's lovable, and it's really important to Bernie that he be loved.
Perfect submission.
And I can relate to that.
Visions of right.
I have a little bit of that in me, too.
You know, this would be funny if it wasn't so damn sad.
Apparently, Marjorie was tough.
She was vile and hateful and just mean. Wave hi. Hello.
She was very loving. I miss her. Bernie stole $3.8 million from my grandmother, and then he put 4 bullets in her back at close range.
How did this happen? And that was what the movie explored.
She didn't have a lot of friends. She didn't have a lot of people around her to take care of her and to love her. And that's where Bernie came in.
Did she ever look at you, Bernie, and say, Bernie, I love you?
Well, we often told each other that, yes.
She was a wonderful woman and didn't deserve to be executed by Bernie Tiede.
I have to live with this every day of my life, and I don't like that.
I think the film is asking the question, can the nicest person in the world
I don't like thinking ill of Marjorie.
be capable of the worst act?
Let's go back and start the Bernie story from the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
Well, right here in East Texas.
One way or another, Bernie Tiede has been dealing with death and darkness since he was 3 years old.
My daddy and my mother, they had a car accident, and my mother was riding in the passenger's side of the car, and Daddy never forgave himself for that.
His mother dead, his father started drinking hard and died when Bernie was just 15.
So a lot of death had occurred in our family.
Things only got worse for Bernie. He claims he was molested by his own uncle, Elmer Doucette.
12, when my uncle began molesting me.
Doucette has always denied Bernie's allegations.
Did it darken your world in some way?
Yes, it did.
Bernie learned firsthand that the wounded, lonely, and those the dead leave behind need comforting.
This was Bernie Tiede's world.
I guess you could say that's true, yeah.
Carlton Schamberger is the owner of Hawthorne Funeral Home, where Bernie worked for 9 years.
He was very successful here at Hawthorne's and as a funeral director overall.
He could do everything.
He could. He was talented, could do everything from makeup, hair. He could sing, he could preach.
Even out coloration, then apply highlights.
It would just be part of what inspired director Richard Linklater and actor Jack Black to collaborate on the darkly comic movie Bernie.
Too much color does not make one look more alive.
He was on a lot of people's lists to literally sing them to heaven.
He knew how to take care of families.
He could connect that quickly.
He could connect, yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't long after 27-year-old Bernie arrived in Carthage back in 1985 that everyone seemed to know him, from the dusty dirt roads.
One of his excellent qualities was he was a gourmet cook.
Where Jack Payne and Ira Bounds live.
I think that he was well thought of amongst the little old ladies in town.
And at Comer's famous barbecue.
He taught our Sunday school. He preached a funeral for us.
Even down at the courthouse.
Did you know Bernie Tita?
Yes.
Where local legend District Attorney Danny Buck Davidson ruled back then and still rules today, everyone sensed something good had come to town.
You think, gee, I'm glad this guy came here. He's an asset to the community. Everybody loved Barney.
I come to the garden alone. Well, I enjoyed singing in the choir. And then I got active also in the school here in the drama department. I was acting and doing in plays.
And you were oftentimes the star?
Oftentimes, yes.
Did you feel loved in this community?
Very much so. I felt very much loved.
Local ladies, Lisa and Susie Cockrell, sum it up simply.
He was a god. He was a god to this
I mean,
town.
almost. People really saw him like that.
Yeah.
He's got a warmth, got a magnetism.
Just a super generous, sensitive guy, and is everybody's best friend.
Bernie Tita always had that human touch. He knew just what to say to bring a smile to anyone who needed it. So when a grieving, vulnerable widow came here to the Hawthorne Funeral Home, Bernie saw an opportunity to do what he did best.
In 1990, the town's leading banker and oilman, Rod Nugent, hard-nosed, tough, but fair businessman, dies.
Skip Hollingsworth covered the case for Texas Monthly Magazine.
And Bernie is in charge of his funeral.
I embalmed his body and got him ready for the funeral.
And Mrs. Nugent arrives.
And I met with her about the arrangements.
Marjorie Nugent would one day be portrayed by Oscar-winning actress Shirley MacLaine.
I saw her to the gravesite. We had the funeral service there, and then I took her back to the car.
Are you thinking to yourself, well, we've parted ways, we did some business, and never shall meet again?
Well, no, because that's not how I conduct funerals, as I often do with the widows, widowers. Check on them, go by the house, make sure they're all right.
Did they appreciate your dropping by?
Oh, very much so.
Wanted you to know that I was thinking about you.
Oh, thank you.
These times can be hard.
Well, Margie wasn't a huggy type person.
Ruth Cockrell would come to know as much as anyone in Carthage about the friendship of Bernie and Marjorie.
Well, we were first cousins.
Were you guys close?
We got pretty close.
Could Marjorie be difficult?
I think any of us can be difficult. I mean, as an old setting hen sometimes.
In small towns anywhere, your reputation is not often defined by who you are, it's by what people think of you. And so the reputation did get around that Mrs. Nugent could be cantankerous.
Could Marjorie be mean?
Yes, sir. She could.
And another thing, newly widowed 74-year-old Marjorie Nugent was loaded with cash.
She would kind of be called a blue blood.
As much as $6 million.
Some soaps and a little bubble bath to soothe you in the tub.
Bernie Tita wasn't about to be turned away.
Come in. Oh, it would be my pleasure.
I felt sorry for Marjorie. I really did.
And soon, Marjorie and Bernie were seen on the scene, the odd couple of Carthage.
We'd go to the Cherokee Club. We would go to the jalapeno tree here in Carthage.
Yeah, they were a pair.
And it wasn't long before Marjorie wanted more than a part-time dinner date, and Bernie complied.
She asked me to leave the funeral home. She just wanted more and more and more of me around.
She actually hired Bernie and paid him a salary.
There's this notion out there that you were attracted to Marjorie's money.
Yes, I'm aware of that. That was not part of the deal. That was not part of my wanting to be around Marjorie.
There's members of Marjorie's family that tell a different story.
Bernie Tita is what?
A thief.
Just 2 hours up the road in Dallas,
These are some of our old family photos of my grandmother.
3 proud granddaughters
Everything that has been said about her is not her.
have a very different take on just why Bernie was befriending Marjorie.
He saw her as a mark. He stole her money. When he was about to be found out, he shot her and killed her.
That's the real story.
That is the real story.
Is this case about money?
Yes, it is.
How so?
I think that defines everything.
The majestic gates swung open to a kingdom of riches, and Bernie Tita rolled right in.
I think the fatal mistake my grandmother made is she ended up buying a $30,000 headstone from Bernie Tita. From that moment, he marked her.
Within months of meeting at her husband's funeral, Bernie was full-time at Marjorie Nugent's eye-popping home.
Helping her with anything that she needed help with, make her coffee, make sure she was up, she was all right.
He was there for her.
They loved each other.
Yeah, Bernie loves everybody. And I think he's the one person in the world in that era who could feel that from Marge when no one else could.
I never thought of them as being lovey-doveys. Never. Just together, just friends.
I never saw him kiss.
You never did?
No.
And DA Danny Buck probably never would, because there was something about Bernie that made folks wonder back then.
I'm a gay man, and it's hard to be a gay man and being out in a small town.
Did Marjorie know you were gay?
We never discussed it.
Never discussed it?
No.
So what was the attraction? She's 42 years older than you?
Right.
He was targeting wealthy women.
Well, I think the attraction for Marjorie was the same as it was for everybody else in town. He was just a lovable guy. When you spend time with him, you want to hang out with him.
Less than a year after her husband's death, Bernie and Marjorie started hanging out big time, trading in the back roads for Broadway.
We'd go up on a Friday morning and then come back on Sunday. Saw Broadway shows. We had a lot of fun together.
Bernie Tita, the mortician who made about $24,000 a year, now had access to Marjorie Nugent's 10,000 square foot mansion in Carthage, her checkbook, and a world of opportunity.
They went on great adventures together.
Wave hi. Hello.
They had a ball together. They traveled the world.
We went to Washington, Baltimore, and then took a cruise down the East Coast. We went to Germany, England, Scotland, and Wales. To Egypt, I went to the pyramids. We just went everywhere.
Was she having a good time?
She was having a great time.
He was her manservant.
Is it too busy?
The guy hired to take care of her every need. Clipped her toenails, all the nitty-gritty.
And for Bernie, the perks kept piling up. Marjorie showered him with cash, clothing, cars, even flying lessons, and planes to go with it. And in turn, Bernie gave gifts to the good people of Carthage.
He provided money, he provided scholarships.
Doing good, doing a lot of good in Carthage.
Turns out he was generous with Ms. Nugent's money.
he was kind of the conduit to her generosity, to her better angel.
She spoiled me rotten.
But the Nugents say their grandma never needed Bernie or anyone to teach her kindness.
My grandmother was a loving, sweet woman.
And she was kind?
She was. She was kind, and she loved telling stories.
This is really eye-opening, guys, to talk to you. This is really eye-opening.
In '93, we went there, and she opened the door, and she hugged me, and she kissed me like 8 times.
But whatever Marjorie's affection for her granddaughters, the stakes were about to change. Marjorie Nugent filed a new will, leaving everything to Bernie and nothing to her family.
Did you encourage her to do that?
No, she brought that to me one day, and it was in 1991.
Why would she do that?
Well, I felt like she could trust me, I guess.
It was on one of the next family visits to Carthage that the Nugent women got a hint of how deeply Bernie had moved into their grandmother's life.
Flash forward to 1994. We go to see her, and she opens the door, and she goes, "I don't know who you are." And I go, "What do you mean you don't know who we are?" And she goes, "I don't know who you are." She's like, "You need to leave."
And we went in, and there were pictures of Bernie everywhere. And we said, "Who is this? Nanny, who is this?" And she said, "Well, he's my friend." And the thing that disturbed me was that all of the pictures of my grandfather were gone.
For Shanna, Alexandria, and Susan, Grandma Marjorie's new behavior was disturbing.
She was like a schoolgirl in love.
And the motives of her new companion, deeply suspect.
We believe that my grandmother was in love with Bernie and believed that he was in love with her.
When was the last time you guys saw your grandmother alive?
That visit in 1994.
And now they worried that Bernie was well on the way to tricking Marjorie out of millions.
I think it's the perfect example of a sweetheart scam that I have ever seen. My grandmother believed he loved her.
How do you know that?
Because I saw her.
But Bernie tells a different story, claiming that after 5 years attending to Marjorie, the relationship had soured. And that even though he had his own modest home, he felt trapped by Marjorie and wanted out. Bernie claims Marjorie's 24/7 demands had turned into an abusive relationship.
She was very mean-spirited, very abrupt with me, very...
Could she be abusive?
Yes, very much so.
In some ways, was her place his gilded cage, and she closed the door on that cage?
Yeah.
We were in a heated discussion about, I told her, I said, I can't do this anymore. And I said, I can't be your friend anymore. I just can't do this.
Go ahead, desert me.
She was very distraught. You can't leave me. You're not going to leave me. No one has ever left me.
I know you hate me.
So I backed my car out of the garage, and by the time I got out there, she had locked the gate on me. Until I finally I said, okay, I won't leave you. I won't leave.
Well, just park your car, jump over the gate, run, or whatever. But Bernie is not one built for conflict. I think he takes it as his fate. I can't get away from this woman.
The door's right there, Bernie. But it's not as simple as that.
People get trapped.
People get trapped.
No exit, no way out. And at least according to Bernie, feeling like Marjorie Nugent's prisoner reminded him of the abuse he says he suffered as a boy.
And in some ways, did you feel trapped in this relationship just as you had been trapped with your uncle?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I think he is a killer. I think he has no remorse. I don't believe a word that comes out of the man's mouth.
Bernie Tita claims it pains him to recall how controlling and cantankerous Marjorie Nugent could be.
I don't like the things that she did, but I don't like talking about them either.
personally, and I think he's pure evil.
Let's move now to November 19th, 1996. Tell me about that day and what, from your perspective, led to the tragedy.
I had gone out to the house to make coffee early, 7:30. Got her up.
That's enough of that. I don't want you to talk about the shooting.
This is attorney Jody Cole. She would eventually become a big part of Bernie Tita's life.
This is all public records.
I do not want him to talk about the shooting.
And how his story would be told.
That's enough.
Yet when we spoke with Bernie, Jody Cole stopped him from telling those grisly details. Hard facts everyone from Carthage to Hollywood now knows.
Shot her in the back 4 times.
Shot her dead with this .22 caliber rifle.
The first bullet in her back makes her paralyzed, so she falls straight down onto the concrete. He shoots her again. He then walks straight up to her body, puts the muzzle to the gun to the back of her, and shoots it 2 more times.
Those graphic details would be missing from the movie.
I remember right before we shot that scene, I went up to Jack Black and I said, "Have you ever killed anyone in a movie?"
Like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the hardest scenes in the movie. You see a scene like that in the script, and you circle it in the calendar when you're going to shoot that, and you think about it a lot.
Marjorie, can you say something? Oh, no, Jesus, no, what have I done?
I'm sorry that that happened in my life. I caused the death of somebody that I loved.
Days turned into months as Bernie kept his awful secret. And Marjorie's family, they began to wonder what had become of Grandma.
I started asking my dad, have you heard from Nanny? I can't get her. And, maybe she's on another trip. She'll call you when she gets back.
And the Nugent women, all busy college students at the time,
This was Christmas. It's my grandparents.
admit there was a reluctance to reach out to Grandma Marjorie.
We had this strange encounter in 1994 where we didn't feel welcome.
And every Sunday he'd come sit right beside me and give me a full report on Margie.
And what were you thinking to yourself?
I'm thinking you're lying. That's what I'm thinking.
And I just made up one thing or another.
You told one she had Alzheimer's, another she was in the hospital.
It was such a difficult time.
And Mama would tell us what he had been saying. And it's like, Mama, are you crazy? He's either got her locked up in the house, poisoning her, or he's already killed her.
If I had gone to the police and then been proven wrong, I would have been left out of Carthage because people thought so much of Bernie.
So week after week, month after month passes, Marjorie's nowhere to be seen.
9 months. 9 months.
It was August 18th, 1997. The Nugents had finally shared their concerns with the local sheriff.
I get a call from my dad. He and I drive down. And it's clear that no one's been there for a very long time.
So, where was Marjorie Nugent?
I wanted to check the freezer. My grandmother was a child of the Depression, so you didn't waste food.
Turning back up the hallway.
So when Alexandria and the sheriff's deputies got to the house, she knew exactly where she wanted to go.
She walked down this hallway. Alexandria knew that if her grandmother had left the house, she would have put everything she kept in the refrigerator in a freezer located inside this pantry. She opened the door, and there it was.
It was so quick. It was like I walked in and I said, there's tape on the freezer.
And this is the freezer.
She untaped it and raised it up.
And threw the lid open.
And there was the top of Miss Nugent's head.
And I looked at my dad and I said, they found her. And he just kind of did this. And all I wanted at that moment was my mom.
Do I regret the fact that I didn't rush down there to stop him from doing this? Yes, because
That's what you do when you love someone and you find out that the person that they were in love with shot them 4 times in the back, and you think, how could I have saved them?
While a motive remained unclear, there was zero mystery about the prime suspect.
Bernie's name was top of the list.
Bernie was easy to find. He was right in Carthage, at home, when the sheriff's deputies showed up and brought him in for questioning.
I was so relieved when they came for me and arrested me. It felt like this big weight had been lifted off my shoulder.
How could you come to my house, eat my food, and sing hymns, and my cousin over there in the deep freeze?
It's grim when, you see an old lady on video being pulled out of a freezer. Those are images that stay with you.
And I think it took 2 days to thaw her out and for them to do an autopsy.
Strange.
Yes.
That same day, Bernie Tita confessed to Panola County Sheriff's deputies that he murdered Marjorie Nugent.
There wasn't a question in anybody's mind. Everybody knew.
I think you're right.
Danny Buck Davidson would charge Bernie with first-degree premeditated murder and seek the ultimate penalty.
Life.
Life in prison.
Maximum sentence.
And that's when this twisted Texas tale really got strange.
People in the community were coming in saying Bernie was a real good guy. If he killed her, he had a reason for doing it. Poor Bernie. He had his groupies.
Bernie had his groupies?
Yep.
Some people are saying, hey, let him go. Some people are saying, no, put him away for life.
You just have never seen a story like this come across your desk, ever. And people still want to talk about it. They're still mystified about what really happened on that November afternoon that led Bernie to shoot her 4 times.
I'd stay in the garden with him.
Bernie Tita had preached and comforted and sang his way into this proud small town's everyday life.
He held a special place in the hearts of many people in Carthage, Texas.
Some folks even suggested Bernie was next door to the angels.
And I said, he's an angel, all right. He's an angel of death.
Your job as a prosecutor, you got a man who's admitted he put 4 bullets in the back of a little old lady.
Put her in a freezer and kept spending her money while she was dead.
And you have a community saying, leave him alone. That's,
right.
What would they say?
Go easy on Bernie.
It happened so often, he asked for a change of venue.
And he got one. The trial of Bernie Tita for murdering Marjorie Nugent was moved 50 miles away. And in February of 1999, Danny Buck told his tale to a jury who had never heard about Bernie.
I thought it was greed and betrayal. That's what I sold to the jury.
Bernie's defense was that he killed Marjorie in an act of passion, that her murder was not premeditated.
I don't know what happened that morning.
The jury did not relate to him. They related to me.
The trial lasted less than a week.
How long did it take this jury to make its decision?
I think it took them maybe 20 minutes to find him guilty.
9 years after he met Marjorie Nugent at her husband's funeral, Bernie was sentenced to life in prison.
Which is the top max sentence. And I felt pretty good about it.
I deserve time. I've done a particularly horrible thing, the worst thing in my life.
Case closed, except for this. Richard Linklater couldn't get the tale of Bernie Tita out of his head.
I ended up attending the trial and started thinking of this. Maybe there's a movie here.
Rick and Skip Hollingsworth wrote the Bernie screenplay and brought it to Jack Black.
And he said, hey, I never told you about this thing that I've been obsessed with, this story about this fella Bernie Tita. And so I said, let me read this thing.
Amazing
Jack Black became so intrigued, he agreed to play the lead role.
Action.
But not before he and Linklater paid a visit to a Texas maximum security prison to try and understand just who Bernie Tita really was.
I wanted to come and meet you. I still think it's important if I want to play a real person that I should meet you.
I love to be around people. I'm just a people person.
Black wanted to know what made Bernie tick, right down to what he felt in the days after he murdered Marjorie.
Well, that must have been incredibly stressful.
Oh, good gracious.
That period with the walls closing in.
You have no earthly idea. It was absolutely horrendous.
If you're playing a person and you have access to them, you got to go see them. It's just one of the rules of the game.
I'm very appreciative of them coming to meet me.
And I have to stay here unless something changes.
Oh, there's one man in particular I can think of I'd sure like to talk to.
The movie Bernie also featured Matthew McConaughey as Danny Buck.
Danny Buck's coming to get you first.
Jack, Shirley, eyes right over here, please.
In April 2012, it premiered in Rick's hometown of Austin. Critics loved it.
This idea that my grandmother was a monster is ludicrous.
The Nugent family thought it was beyond offensive.
It was a complete lie.
It was devastating to us. I mean, they took the most awful part of our lives and just laughed about it and joked about it.
It's like he had cast a spell over the entire area.
And now, the Bernie Tita story was about to take yet another bizarre twist that began right at the movie premiere.
A little feisty lady comes up to me and says, I bet there was some, crazy stuff going on at the trial.
She's appeals lawyer Jody Cole. And after watching the movie, she got a hunch that the trial of Bernie Tita had been a miscarriage of justice.
I want the world to know that Bernie Tita is a good person and that this outcome is unacceptable. I said, look at that, he snaps. And so I thought, why did he get a life sentence?
She asked Linklater if he had the transcripts from Tita's 1999 murder trial.
He came with his boxes of transcripts.
Put it on her desk and it's like, I don't know, have at it.
Jody pored over the files, knowing that Bernie's life sentence hinged on Danny Buck's argument that the murder was premeditated.
And within a couple of weeks, she had come to see me.
Is there a miracle that's about to occur?
Yes, and Jody Cole did a lot of work toward that miracle happening.
All rise.
Marjorie, are you okay?
That morning, I felt like I wasn't a part of the shooting.
16 years after he shot Marjorie Nugent dead, Bernie painted a picture for defense attorney Jody Cole about how he felt that awful morning.
I felt like I wasn't even there. And I have learned that that is called a dissociative episode.
I think it's a classic case of a kind of a disassociated moment.
That's what this whole case hinges on.
A dissociative episode. The new age psychological term would break the case against Bernie Tita wide open.
When they are overwhelmed with stress and emotion, they actually disassociate, which is leave their body.
And Bernie's body, the theory goes, killed Marjorie without his mind taking part.
And he shot her.
Yes, involuntarily.
The Nugent family would have their own take on Jody's ideas.
Not connected with reality.
Thoroughly confused.
This woman had been abusing him for a very long time, and his body acted in a way to end that abuse.
Bernie also confided in Jody what he says is his darkest secret about that childhood sexual abuse he claims he suffered at the hands of that uncle. Jody brought the findings to the DA, and he was sold.
What do you conclude in terms of why this murder occurred?
The child abuse and the abusive relationship. I think that he did not plan on killing her.
Danny Buck says if he had to do it all over again, he would have sought a much lighter sentence.
20 years would have been the maximum sentence. Not because Danny Buck wants 20, it's what the law says.
Danny Buck then went to bat for the killer he had once helped convict. And on May 6th, 2014,
Bernie Tity's life sentence thrown out.
A new sentencing trial is ordered, and Bernie is released from prison for the time being.
Lots of miracles have happened in my life.
The next miracle was in the parking lot.
Mr. Linklater picked me up, and we drove to Austin.
The real-life Bernie Tity just got out of an East Texas prison.
This is Bernie's little apartment. He lived down here.
He put me up in his apartment at his home.
In some ways, did Bernie become part of the family?
Yeah, very much.
I mean, did he ever babysit your kids?
Yeah.
In Austin, Bernie went about creating a new life, all on borrowed time. He joined the Gay Men's Choir.
In the time of King Herod,
He became a regular at Pastor Sid Hall's church.
Our folks surrounded him like mother hens, just loving him.
He was definitely feeling the ecstasy of freedom.
Well, my first thought is, how is this happening?
The Nugent granddaughters found it all beyond belief.
Richard Linklater.
Conned. But Richard Linklater is just as conned as my grandmother was.
I think I'm pretty unconnable.
I think Danny Buck got enthralled with Hollywood.
I'll say that's BS.
Before the sentencing trial, Danny Buck recused himself. He was replaced by two prosecutors determined to put Bernie Tita back behind bars.
This was just a straight-up execution. I think he's conned Hollywood and he's conned the whole judicial system.
Jane Starnes and Assistant Attorney General Lisa Tanner weren't buying it. Bernie didn't have a dissociative episode.
This case is about abusing elderly, vulnerable people. It's about abusing Marjorie Nugent financially, and it's about just cold-blooded murder.
What do we have in front of us here?
We have just small portions of the paper trail.
Lisa Tanner would allege Bernie regularly forged Marjorie Nugent's signature.
He was very good at signing her signature.
Manually manipulated her bank accounts.
This is what he showed Marjorie, but this is what he really deposited. We had 14 of these.
Altered her brokerage statements.
The original of this document is literally a cut and pasted, dummied up statement.
All of this.
He's pocketing her money.
Both while Marjorie was alive and after Bernie had killed her and stuffed her in her freezer.
The numbers ended up being approximately $3.8 million total.
Bernie's motive for murder came into focus.
He was about to be found out about.
In April 2016, after 2 years of freedom, Bernie Tita's new sentencing trial began.
Is the jury here and ready to go?
It was moved to Henderson, Texas, because Bernie still had so many friends and fans in Carthage.
We'll begin with the state. Ms. Tanner.
Lisa Tanner put Bernie in her sights.
This is a real case with a real murderer. He did that.
And Hollywood.
So we're going to talk about that in a non-fictionalized, non-Hollywoodized kind of way.
Hollywood means, lack of morality.
Thank you, guys.
But I took that really personal because I don't live in Hollywood. I'm an indie Texas director.
Rick Linklater was called to the stand to defend his friend.
I think he's an incredibly nice, generous man who, did a horrible thing.
The director and those who love Bernie argued he had paid his dues with time already served.
16 years? Yeah, I'd say he served enough time.
And Bernie's uncle, under oath, denied ever having molested Bernie.
You say never, never.
But did admit writing him a letter sexual in nature. Bernie did not testify at the trial.
I mean, there are just some questions that don't have any answers.
Two dramatic versions of Marjorie Nugent's murder have now been told. One on the big screen the other in a courtroom in Henderson, Texas. The question now is, who will the jurors believe?
Sudden passion, dissociative episode, snapping.
When he took that gun and pointed it down straight to the ground and put it in her back, that justified a life sentence then.
Bernie, are you a danger to society?
No, sir, not at all.
The jury goes out to deliberate. Alexandria, what's going through your mind?
You know, at that moment, all you can do is pray.
On April 2nd, 2016, some 26 years after he met Marjorie Nugent, the jury once again sentenced Bernie Tita to 99 years in prison.
For 99 years of life.
Everyone in that courtroom knew that my grandmother was not mean. She did not deserve to die, and that this man deserved to go away for the rest of his life.
When I heard 99 years, I mean, it was devastating.
He's back in prison for life. It's very discouraging.
Now, what's as certain as his life sentence is this. Deep in the heart of Texas, Bernie Tita is loved.
Even today, is there a Bernie Tita fan club in Carthage?
Yes. Not as big as it once was, but it's here.
It's like ghosts. You just see the ghosts of them everywhere.
If you close your eyes, can you still see it?
All of it.
The focus of the case is Michelle Renee. She was living with her daughter, Bria. They were living in a kind of a secluded house.
Does it feel like 22 years?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago. Sometimes it feels like it was last week.
I asked the FBI to take Michelle back to the house to help reconstruct probably the most traumatic night of her life.
We came in the door, I put the groceries away, went in the kitchen.
Michelle was a single mom. She was a bank manager, somebody who worked hard to gain a job, a position of trust and respect.
It had been such a long day, and I was just excited to be home with Bria. We were on the couch. It was just the two of us.
I was sitting here, she was right beside me, and we were playing Game Boy.
A group of individuals put Michelle under surveillance knowing she was a bank manager, and they devised a plan.
And we just heard this huge, the sound, just the biggest noise from behind us. And I turned to look and just saw 3 people. They were all lined up, one right after the other, just rushing in, running in the door, that like SWAT style, and they had their guns and they were all in black. And I just screamed super loud. My daughter screamed super loud. At that point, my daughter took off this way, but 2 of them came to me, put guns in my face,
One guy grabbed me back of my head, forced me down in front of the couch that was right here.
They bind her up with duct tape. They put her 7-year-old on the ground and bind her up with duct tape. And they tell them that if they don't cooperate, they're going to be killed, they're going to be shot.
They let me turn around and see my daughter laying face down on the floor right here by the door, face down with her hands tied and her feet tied. Right there on the ground, I heard my daughter say, "Are you gonna kill my mommy? And are you gonna kill me?" And they said, "No, not if your mommy does everything that we tell her to do."
They said, "You're gonna rob the bank for us, or we will kill you, and your daughter will be first."
The only monsters that had ever scared Michelle Renee's 7-year-old daughter, Bria, were make-believe. But on November 20th, 2000, just a day before 3 masked men broke in.
She calls me, "Mom, there's somebody outside the window." I looked out there, I didn't see anything, I didn't see anybody, so I just brushed it off.
Michelle had chalked it up to her child's imagination, but this time was different.
She saw them looking through the window. They were there the night before.
The same men now held Michelle and Bria at gunpoint in the living room. The gunmen said they'd been following the 35-year-old bank manager for months.
It was very much that mind control thing that they were doing, that we know everything about you.
Michelle would recount the events inside the house for investigators.
We're gonna be here all night with you to make sure you know exactly what you're gonna do or you will die.
Throughout the night, the ringleader gave specific instructions about how he wanted Michelle to rob her own bank the next morning.
We're gonna go over this again. This is what you're gonna do. When Brinks gets there, you're gonna get Brinks's money.
As she huddled with Bria on the couch, now duct-taped, Michelle could hear him talking to a woman on a 2-way radio.
Money 1 to money 2 were
That's what they called each other?
Yeah, they called each other money 1 to money 2.
Money 1 was the ringleader. Around 11, the voice on the walkie-talkie got his attention.
Car coming up the driveway, the roommate's there.
It was their roommate, Kimbra.
And they put the gun right here in her face, right up her nose, and said, "Don't make us use this." I pushed the guy's hand out of her face and said, "Don't do this, don't hurt her." And he just pointed it right at me and said, "Don't ever touch me again."
Michelle realized this might be the last night she ever spent with her daughter.
It was almost morning. I just rubbed her hair so she could try to get some sleep.
Wondering if that was gonna be the last time I was gonna get to touch her hair and see her sleep was pretty tough.
In the morning, the nightmare would continue.
It was like 6 a.m. He said, "Get up, it's time to get ready for work."
I got dressed and started doing my hair when he came in and stopped me and said, "We need to put the dynamite on you now."
Michelle, her roommate Kimbra, and Bria would all be strapped with dynamite. Then Money 1 showed Michelle what looked like a doorbell.
This is a detonation device.
One false move, I push this button.
You will disintegrate, your daughter will go first.
And they sat me right here and said, "Now we're gonna take your daughter."
The gunman put Bria in her bedroom closet.
I was just telling her I'd be right back, that everything's gonna be fine.
Be brave, Mommy. That was the last thing she said before I walked out to go to the bank.
Did you feel brave?
No.
As two of the gunmen stayed in the house, Money One handed Michelle a briefcase stuffed with a duffel bag before he crouched in the back of her Jeep. With dynamite on her back and a gun to her side, she drove to work.
So you pull up into your spot. What does he tell you before you get out of the car?
Don't this up.
And the Brinks truck came at 8:50?
I believe right around 8:50 was the drop right over here.
That's when Michelle grabbed her briefcase and headed to the vault.
I brought my teller in the vault with me and said, I'm getting ready to clear out this vault, or my daughter and I are gonna die. This is what's happened all night.
And you whispered to her, I have dynamite on my back?
Yeah. I whispered, I pulled my shirt up.
And then you just opened up the duffel bag and started shoveling in money?
I did. My heart was racing. Am I fast enough?
Michelle's colleagues would alert the authorities, but not before she walked out with $360,000.
Just get to the Jeep, hurl it in the Jeep,
and go.
And just do what's next.
Money One directed Michelle to get out a few blocks later.
And that I would find my Jeep down the street.
She found her car and raced home.
I don't know if Bria's gonna be there. I don't know if she's gonna be alive when I get there. And I went to open the door and I was just screaming and hello, hello. It was eerily silent.
And I just heard Bria and I remember screaming, we're back here, we're back here.
Bria was still in the closet, right where Michelle left her.
What was that like to hear and see her?
Oh my gosh. She was alive. I did it. We did it. We didn't die.
Probably the happiest moment of my life. But then I could still see the panic on her face.
The dynamite's still on me.
Before leaving, the gunmen had ripped the dynamite off of Kimbra and Bria, so they cut it off of Michelle's back before running to the nearest neighbor.
I opened the gate, went down the hill real fast, helped them up to the house.
Rick Brown lived up a steep hill.
I called 911 right away.
Sheriff's Department, can I help you?
Yes, some neighbors of ours were held hostage. I need somebody out here right away.
Soon, the place was crawling with investigators from the FBI, San Diego Sheriff's Department, and the bomb squad.
This is the dynamite that was taken off of Michelle.
San Diego prosecutor Tom Manning would lead the task force investigating the case. They quickly figured out the dynamite was fake.
They realized that it actually is 2 painted dowels or broomstick handles. But as you can see from a distance in the lighting, plus it's on your back with the stress of the situation, you're not going to take a chance that it isn't real.
But during the very real 14 hours they were held hostage, Michelle had held on to any detail that might help identify the attackers.
Remembering details is just sort of this part of my DNA about people. That was kind of my superpower.
Details like Money One's eyes.
When I turned the light on to go to the bathroom and I saw his eyes in there, I said that those eyes were at my desk. Those eyes were at my desk today. Oh my God.
Michelle says it was a man with whom she'd had an odd encounter at the bank hours before being taken hostage.
And he sat at my desk for a really long time asking sort of the same questions over and over. And then a woman walked in and said, Chris, we need to get going. And they got up and left.
The man had handed Michelle his business card.
And the name on the business card was?
Christopher Butler.
After hours of police questioning, Michelle and Bria were sent to a hotel. Michelle called her brother Dave.
It didn't sound like her. It was someone, heavily traumatized.
Dave, who lived 3 hours away, rushed to his sister's aid.
What I saw when I opened that door, it scared the daylights out of me. Are you okay? And she would shake.
How about Bria?
Same thing.
In the days ahead, Michelle struggled to hold it together for her daughter.
She was the strongest person for me.
While investigators wanted answers. They grilled her about that odd encounter with Christopher Butler.
Why was he in the bank? What was he saying he was there for?
He came in to say that he was a potential client and that he wanted to talk about investments.
Before Butler handed Michelle his business card, a woman he introduced as Lisa came in and whisked him away.
Hey, Chris, we need to go.
It was the same voice Michelle says she heard later that night on the walkie-talkie.
I kept saying it over and over.
Check my desk,
Check
get that
my
card.
desk, get that card. I know that it's them.
Through that card, they started the investigation.
The FBI soon discovered Butler was a convicted felon with a history of robbing banks.
They figured out where he was staying, and then the team that I worked with set up surveillance.
Butler and his fiancée, Lisa Ramirez, lived in a house just a few miles from the bank.
Some of the people in the house were telling the police who was there when they planned it.
Within days, detectives identified the two other men. Christopher Huggins.
He was a big guy, maybe 6'4". He's gang ties.
And the man who'd held a gun to little Bria, a gang member called Bones. Real name, Robert Ortiz.
Ortiz was a connection who got the guns.
On December 1st, they decided to arrest Butler and Ramirez during a traffic stop.
In the glove compartment was a weapon. It's actually a BB gun. If you look at that in a stressful situation, that looks as real as it can get.
What'd they find when they pumped the trunk?
Plethora of evidence.
All this.
All this. They found the black bag that Michelle described the money being carried in, several pairs of black gloves, and a homemade ski mask.
Oh yeah, look at the eye holes there.
Yeah.
That they clearly cut themselves.
Michelle's credit cards were all found in the trunk of the vehicle. And then, of course, the money straps from the bank.
Also in the trunk, that doorbell detonator. And there was even more at the house.
They found all the ingredients to make the fake bomb. There were broom handles, which were cut up into small dowels, which actually were used in making the fake dynamite. They also recovered the actual spray cans. Ramirez's fingerprint was on one of those cans. It was crazy. I've never seen that much physical evidence left at a crime scene.
They thought they'd gotten away with it.
Yeah.
One thing investigators didn't find on Butler and Ramirez, any of the bank's $360,000. But after arresting Huggins that same day, they did recover $93,000 of the cash that he'd stashed away. Huggins confessed and said that he'd already spent several grand on a trip to Vegas. The fourth suspect, Robert Ortiz, was on the lam.
When authorities arrested him 3 months later in Wisconsin, Ortiz still had $32,000 of the bank's money and gave a full confession.
Did Huggins and Ortiz's confessions corroborate each other?
Yes, very much so.
So did Huggins and Ortiz's confessions corroborate what Michelle had told investigators?
Yes, almost identical.
Butler denied everything, even when confronted with direct evidence. His thumbprint on the fake dynamite sticks.
And we got fingerprints that are yours that link you to the bank robbery. I doubt that because I wasn't involved in the bank robbery.
He tried to protect Lisa.
Lisa wouldn't have been involved with that.
But Lisa was about to start talking. She admitted she was the female voice on the walkie-talkie. She even took credit for the idea to use fake dynamite and kidnap the bank manager.
Honestly, I whose idea was about 8 months ago. Jokingly, mine.
Lisa said they'd split the money 3 ways, but that her and Butler's share, more than $100,000, had been stolen. And to everyone's surprise, she said Michelle was in on the plot.
Everybody thought they had told me that Michelle lady was helping them.
Walked out of that thinking, okay, Lisa's the mastermind behind all this, and is it possible Michelle's involved?
Manning says ultimately he knew Michelle was innocent.
The first time I interviewed her, she had Bria with her, and I saw that bond and relationship, and When she left, I went, she's not involved in this.
But that wouldn't be enough in court. San Diego County Sheriff's detectives Rudy Zamora, Dale Martin, and Randy Demers would have to rule Michelle out as a suspect.
Every time we pushed a button, she would react in a way a true victim should.
They recreated the dynamite packs and strapped them on Kimbra, Michelle, and Bria.
She was very upset.
And Michelle was emotional when asked to revisit the horrific details of the kidnapping.
And then I had to put her in there and they shut the closet.
She was shaken up. I thought she was going to have a nervous breakdown.
When Michelle did those reenactments, were her story, Kimbra's story, and Bria's story consistent?
Yes, completely consistent.
In fact, investigators couldn't find any evidence Michelle was involved. Still, they worried.
She was not our normal victim.
As they took a deep dive into Michelle's life.
What did they find out about Michelle's past?
She didn't hide anything.
Including the fact that for years she had worked as a stripper.
I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by any of that.
Michelle says it was one of the choices she had to make for survival at a young age.
I ran away at 15. I worked really, really hard to get to where I was.
With no high school diploma, she had climbed the corporate ladder all the way to regional vice president before taking the bank manager job to be home more with Bria.
And while you were working at the bank, you were still dancing, still stripping for a while?
I was for a while. The money was really great.
But more worrisome were things that went directly to Michelle's credibility.
She falsified resumes, claimed she had various experience, various education, which she didn't have.
Bounced a check, filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
That doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. And if you're a defense attorney, you're licking your chops.
Oh, it was the best verdict I ever got in my life.
By spring of 2001, the suspects were in custody awaiting trial for kidnapping and bank robbery charges. But Michelle and Bria were still reeling from that night of terror.
I could still hear them. I could still hear the sounds. I couldn't get it to turn off.
I just wanted to hide. I thought they were gonna find us. They were gonna kill us still.
In June, Michelle decided to move Bria to Alaska to live with her grandmother.
I was going to fly her up there and get her to safety. I was going to figure out what to do from there.
After a few days, Michelle says she had an epiphany.
To go back to San Diego and get rid of everything I could possibly get rid of and drive back to Alaska.
With a dog.
Come here.
Some cash.
Can do this on a budget.
And a camcorder.
Today is July the 6th.
She embarked on a 9-day drive.
On my way, baby doll.
To the last frontier.
You had a deadline.
I had a deadline. Bria's birthday was in 9 days, and I promised her I'd be back before her birthday party.
That's when Michelle and Bria say they began to heal.
Did you feel safe in Alaska?
Safer. I could be a kid again. Happy birthday to you.
By the time they returned to San Diego a year later for the trial, Michelle says she was ready.
There was so much evidence, there was no way. I thought that this trial was going to be anything but slam dunk.
Butler and Ramirez would be tried first.
When her case came across your desk, what did you think at first?
She's guilty.
You thought she's guilty?
Well, yeah.
Herb Weston, who represented Lisa Ramirez, had a problem. His client had confessed on camera.
There was a female voice that came all at once, all the time.
That was good.
If they played that tape, saying that she wasn't involved would have been difficult.
Weston proposed a plea deal, hoping to save Ramirez from a potential life sentence, but the prosecution turned him down.
We thought we would definitely get the key statements in that she was involved.
But since Ramirez had also implicated Butler, the judge ruled her entire statement inadmissible.
We now can at least argue to the jury that she wasn't involved.
Without her confession, the case against Ramirez relied almost entirely on Michelle. A fact Manning was keenly aware of during his opening statement to the jury on June 3rd, 2002.
You told the jury that this case was about credibility.
Right. Michelle's background was going to be an issue. I knew there were issues, but I believed her.
And you thought the jury would believe her.
Right.
But not if the defense had its way.
What was your strategy going into trial?
My strategy was to beat the hell out of the victim and show all these inconsistencies that the victim is saying.
It got very confrontational.
I was really, really off.
That played right into Weston's hand.
Angry witnesses don't come across as credible.
I was treated like I was the criminal.
During his cross-examination, Weston implied Michelle was lying about recognizing Lisa Ramirez's voice on the walkie-talkie.
Wait a minute, ma'am, I've looked at all this stuff. Isn't this the first time you've said that?
In fact, he pointed out, it wasn't in any of the FBI reports. But Michelle insists she told them.
I did. I 100% did.
And Manning says she identified Lisa's voice to him before taking the stand.
Does it bother you that Lisa actually admitted that that was her voice on the walkie-talkie? The fact is, it was Lisa.
But that's not the issue. For me, it made a great opening to attack her credibility.
Weston then grilled Michelle about bait money, the traceable bills banks keep in their vaults to trap bank robbers.
You didn't take the bait money?
Did not take the bait money.
Why not?
They said no funny money.
You say that's suspicious, that she must have been in on it.
Correct.
Maybe worst of all for Michelle, Weston questioned her maternal instincts.
Would a mother run to a place where her daughter was if she believes that I have a bomb on my back?
She wasn't sure whether her daughter was dead or alive. Don't you think it's possible that she wasn't thinking straight?
Sure. But also what could be true is she knew it wasn't a bomb, and so she didn't have to worry about it.
Did you feel like you were on trial?
I 100% felt like I was on trial.
I would be sitting in the front row, and all I could think about was, it's going to take me maybe 6 seconds to get from this point to the offender. That is how irate I was.
Day after day, listening to this.
Listening to this.
Is it fair to beat up the victim?
Absolutely.
While Weston hammered on every decision Michelle made that day, the attorney representing Butler went after everything else.
What was the worst thing they asked you?
About my sex life. They were trying to paint me as somebody that was irresponsible, a selfish, terrible mother that would do anything for money.
And they picked apart Michelle's finances.
She's in financial distress, and that could be the motive.
Isn't it kind of odd that we're talking about motive when we're talking about a victim?
It is. The defense in the case was to make Michelle a culprit here.
After Michelle's grueling 3-day testimony, it was Christopher Butler's turn. He protected Lisa on the stand, claiming Michelle was the mastermind and that they'd had an affair.
I was shocked.
It's almost laughable.
What was his story about how the two of you met?
From what I understand, we met in a grocery store and that I recruited him.
Butler claimed that he'd gone to Michelle's house that night with Huggins and Ortiz. He said that in the early morning hours, while smoking pot, Michelle brought up the bank robbery idea again and decided they should do it that morning. His evidence of this, his proof of this?
Zero. If any of this were true, he would have thrown Michelle down in a heartbeat in his interview.
The jury deliberated for 5 days before finding Butler guilty of the bank robbery and Bria and Kimbra's kidnapping, but they hung 9-3 on the charges of kidnapping Michelle.
When we talked to the jurors, we discovered there was one juror who completely believed Butler, and the other 2 jurors were unsure.
And they found Lisa Ramirez not guilty on all counts.
Oh, it was the best verdict I ever got in my life.
Mind-boggling. The fact that it was her idea to do this to a mother and a child, and laughing and proud of it.
How involved do you think she was in this?
Very involved. The investigators kept saying she was the brains of the outfit.
So the brains of the outfit walked.
Right.
The second trial would go very differently, with Huggins and Ortiz easily convicted.
In so many of the stories that we tell, the ending is the conviction. But in your case, in a lot of ways, that's just the beginning.
Alrighty, is it working?
Yeah.
If you close your eyes, can you still see it?
Okay.
All of it. I can still see all of it.
Even though the men who had terrorized them were now serving multiple life sentences, Michelle and Bria would never be the same.
There's aspects of that night that are going to be with me for the rest of my life.
They were treated for post-traumatic stress disorder for over 2 years.
They had their guns.
Michelle says dealing with the break-in led to a breakthrough.
There was two choices. Call them monsters and stay angry and blame everything in my life on them, or I can take this other road. The best thing I could do for Bria is to be an example.
Enjoy the book.
Michelle wrote a book, which was made into a TV movie. And she and Bria went on speaking tours to discuss their experience with trauma.
A lot of people coming out of this would want to just forget about it, put it behind them. But you and your mom talked openly about it.
Yes. And I think it was the best decision for us.
We're speaking out about our experience.
I was showing people that it's not always the end-all be-all when something bad happens to you. You can come out of it stronger.
1 up, 2, 3, 4.
And by 2011,
she really turned the corner and started enjoying her life again.
the girl who had hidden from everything was a high school senior and competitive cheerleader.
She loved it. It was her absolute passion.
You're thriving. You're living the dream. You said you
Yes.
dreamed of this. You were
Yes.
living the dream.
I was.
Then, suddenly,
Senior year, in December, I started feeling a little off. I was dropping things.
Showed up at my work at 6 o'clock, dragging her leg, going, "Mommy, something's really wrong. Something's wrong. I don't know what's happening."
I said, "Mom, I'm really scared."
they had no idea Bria was in for the fight of her life.
We rushed her to the hospital, and they started pricking her leg, and she couldn't feel it. And her heart rate started going crazy.
Oh my gosh.
By 8 p.m. that night, I was paralyzed on my left side, couldn't talk, couldn't swallow, blind in my left eye.
We found abnormalities in the brain, is all they could tell me that night.
It almost sounds like there's that same feeling of helplessness that you had the night that you were held hostage.
Completely.
The next morning, Bria was diagnosed with an acute onset of multiple sclerosis, an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system attacks its own tissues.
Based on the scans, she has tumefactive MS, which is not only rare in and of itself, but people Bria's age at 18 rarely get MS.
Bria says she was told she might never walk or talk again.
Just like that.
Just like that.
1, 2, 3, go.
My life just ended again. I was 18, trying to go off to college, do cheer in college, and that was never going to happen for me.
So much of your healing had been talking, and now you couldn't talk?
No, I couldn't talk.
What's it? Okay.
I couldn't feed myself anymore.
She had to relearn all of that.
Up, good.
But it was as if they'd been training for this for years.
Do you think in some way what happened to you when you were 7 prepared you for battling MS?
Yes, I think it made me strong enough to go through what I went through with MS.
It was, here we go again. Here we go again.
Bria would spend 6 weeks in the hospital.
2 to 3 times a day of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy.
After she could talk again, she turned to me and said, "Kidnapping was a piece of cake compared to this."
Do it again.
And just as with the kidnapping, Bria wanted to inspire others.
She wrote her college essay from her hospital room, from her wheelchair,
It is my hope that my college experience
and said, "I'm going to college. I'm going to be the first person in my family to graduate college, no matter what."
I now know that there is no time to waste. Life can change so suddenly.
She chronicled her journey on her Facebook page.
Bria, I love you.
She fought tooth and nail every single day for every single step she took. She walked out of the hospital.
This time it was Michelle doing the cheerleading.
Hi, Bria.
The rehab started in the hospital, but the real rehab was Michelle. Constantly on her. We're gonna do this.
It's okay, good job.
We were a total team. We just ended up going into full gear. We lived in a house with stairs.
Good, that was really good.
She couldn't do stairs anymore.
So once again, you're out of a home that you've been living in.
Yeah, and I had to become her full-time caregiver for about 1.5 to 2 years, and rebuilding our life again.
Despite the odds,
4, 5, oh.
she made it to college.
She relapsed 3 times her first year in college and had to come home, but she did it.
She follows in her mom's footsteps.
Teaching her how to get her foot to stay on the line.
I mean, with the tenacity and the never give up philosophy that they have.
Lift your knee up, ready, go.
Bria is walking, talking proof.
So they told you you'd never walk again?
Yeah, I would never walk again, never see again, never anything like that.
And
I would say I beat the odds.
yet again.
Yes, exactly.
But 20 years after their world first came crashing down, they'd be faced with the unimaginable once again. Christopher Butler could be released.
It's been over 20 years. What stands out about this case in hindsight?
The victims.
From the very beginning, the case hit close to home for prosecutor Tom Manning.
The fact that there was a little girl. My daughter was the same age as Bria when this happened.
Nearly 20 years later, in June 2020, Christopher Butler was up for parole.
He's the one who lied about me.
Manning made sure he was at the hearing.
And you had a plan going in?
I did.
He saw a chance to set the record straight by asking Butler about the story he'd told on the stand.
I told Michelle if I felt it was right, I was going to go for it.
What'd you think about that?
Go for it. Ask away.
Even though that's risky.
It's a little risky. This guy could go to the grave with these lies.
The risk paid off. Butler recanted his whole story, admitting he and Michelle never had a relationship.
How did that feel to hear that?
It's about time. I wanted everybody who ever doubted me to read this parole transcript. I want to blast it all over the internet that there was never, ever a chance that I would ever have been involved in anything like this, ever.
Bria says it's a bittersweet victory for her mom.
Feels good, but it's a little too late. You can search my mom's name and it can come up on the internet. You can't take that back.
Why does it take him so long to come clean? And it's probably because he had an opportunity to be free.
Even though Butler was unequivocal that Michelle was not involved,
he still hasn't really taken responsibility.
He blamed his old flame, Lisa Ramirez. But Butler said he was sorry for what he'd put his victims through, and even said he'd read Michelle's book more than once.
He said some of the passages in your book really got to him.
Yeah. On the road trip to Alaska, I really started to think about what it would be like to try to just understand.
Michelle says that's when she started to wonder about the people behind the masks.
This is someone's son. This is someone's brother. This is someone's grandson. What happened to them in their life that got them to the point where they thought the only option was to attack a mother and her daughter?
Do you accept Christopher Butler's apology?
I do, yeah, 1000%. I appreciate him finally being honest after all this time. I hope he keeps digging deeper.
Yeah, I forgave him a long time ago, and I accept his apology.
But neither Bria nor Michelle want Butler released. He's already been denied parole twice. The irony isn't lost on Dave.
All he really did is free everybody else. He's held hostage with his life.
In a very weird way, I could breathe. I could exhale finally after all this time.
While they don't believe Butler has changed his ways, they feel very differently about the other two men who held them hostage.
They confessed. They take accountability for what they did, and that's a big thing.
Are you actually rooting for these guys to succeed at this point?
Yes. They were younger than what I am now. If they are doing the work, I want nothing but the best for them.
Especially Robert Ortiz.
At the sentencing, Robert Ortiz is the only one that turned around and looked at me and said, "I'm sorry." He mouthed it.
They wrote to Ortiz back in 2011 and received a reply 9 years later.
Out of respect for him, I'm not going to say everything that's in the letter. I can say that it's beautiful, it's heartfelt, and I can't wait to see where that leads.
This is the young man who held a gun to your daughter's head.
Yes. And she spoke at his parole hearing in his favor.
There's my puppy. We're road tripping.
In the meantime, Michelle has written a follow-up book.
So, we're on our way?
About the road trip that changed her point of view.
Great morning. Really great morning.
It is about healing. Just called 9 days, which is how long I was on the road to Alaska.
It is possible to forgive.
I do believe that through this terrible tragedy,
It's possible to see beauty again.
that something beautiful was meant to come about.
Woo! Alaska!
It has built these people into these incredible human beings.
And through it all, they say they wouldn't change a thing, even the kidnapping.
So if you look back at the last 20 years, what has this journey been about?
Raising a remarkable daughter. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, is be her mom.
It seems like both of you look at this at least a tiny bit as a gift.
Yeah. I wouldn't change it. It gave us the chance to build the bond that we have today, and it's just gotten stronger. Yeah.
I can only describe it as evil, something horrible.
From 48 Hours, this is Trained to Kill, the dog trainer, the heiress, and the bodyguard.
He couldn't control his obsession.
Who was the hunter and who was the hunted? Follow and listen on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Where's your emergency?
He calls 911 and he's yelling into the phone, help me, he shot me.
This is the actual transcript from the 911 call.
Yes.
So he's running through the vineyard.
He is running through the vineyard and the shooter is in the truck, coming after him, shooting out the window.
This is crazy.
Crazy.
Who are these guys? These guys were a couple of rich, ambitious wine lovers who wanted to be in the business and own their own vineyards. Look, I have pictures. Here's Emad Tophilis. He's a smart guy from Silicon Valley who loved Hollywood. He even financed a movie. And here's the other guy, Robert Dahl, an operator who people said could make money grow on trees. In this case, vines.
Take one, A-Mark.
My name is Jonathan Kesselman. I'm a filmmaker.
Jimmy Vasco, there's a terrorist!
I was directing a film, and Emad was the principal investor in the film.
Emad made his money in Silicon Valley and then was looking for other things to invest in?
Yeah, I think, he made a good living, wanted to invest his money into things he was more passionate about, movies, wine.
Robert Dahl, did he come with a dream?
Oh, definitely. He really did have the vision of having some form of a winery. Robert made me feel like we'd been friends forever.
Upon first meeting, you felt like that?
No, within like the first 10 minutes.
He was a very nice, outgoing, hardworking guy.
So it seemed like a good guy to partner up with.
Absolutely.
One time, I don't know how I ended up on the back of his motorcycle, and he looked out and he pointed at this mansion. And he said, you know what? Greg and I are gonna make so much money that he's gonna be able to buy a house like this for you someday.
Everything seemed to be going great.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, perfect.
Until it all went wrong.
Yes.
And this is over money.
This is over money.
$800,000 in a gym bag?
Broken dreams, broken dreams.
Who lives? Who dies? It's an incredible tale of wine, money, and murder.
"48 Hours, Grapes of Wrath."
We have a male saying, help me, help me. He advised the subject saying that he has been shot again twice now.
It was a showdown between two millionaires, Robert Dahl and Emad Tophilis.
Wild tales of a shocking murder in the Napa Valley. A bitter money dispute ends in an execution-style shooting. This all started at Dahl Vineyards on Solano Avenue. The victim was...
I mean, just look at this place, Napa Valley. Who wouldn't want a piece of this? That's what these two men wanted, and they went for it, but it ended in murder. So we came here to figure out what happened. And what we discovered is really interesting. It turns out that no less than 4 people thought that they could have ended up targets of the killer too.
Could have been me running through the vineyard and ducking from flying bullets.
I was probably number 1 on his list to kill.
My first thought was that could have very easily been Greg.
What do you think would have happened if you were there?
I think he would have killed me.
Hold on, let's just slow down for a second. How do you get from 2 ambitious guys trying to make it in the wine business to a murder mystery with 4 or 5 other potential victims? Well, we found a guy who can explain it all. Because his family has worked in these valleys for generations.
And he says he could have been a victim that day too.
So is it customary if we visit to Open a bottle of wine?
It's the only way that you can visit.
Sure.
Get to have some wine. So cheers.
Good. Cheers.
Meet Dominic Fapoli, pretty close to royalty around here.
Me and my brother and two sisters were the fourth generation in our family to be involved. I mean, our great-grandfather started doing this with grapes and making some wine in the early 1900s.
Now, he and his brother and sisters and friends run the Christopher Creek Winery.
We've known each other for all of our lives, and so we are family above and beyond.
Are there a lot of dreamers who come here?
Oh, yeah, big time. Tech tycoons, Wall Street guys, rock stars, movie people, and they all want to come and have a slice of this. And a lot of people see the glamorous side of it without, seeing the hard work that goes into it. The blood, sweat, and tears that it really takes to get to the point where we're at right now of drinking a great bottle.
How tough is it to break in?
It's very, very tough unless you're coming with a lot of money.
And then there's the matter of trust. Doing business in the wine country is often very personal.
Their word is their bond. You shake their hands, you look in their eye, and you're good.
You bond with a person and then maybe go into business with them?
Absolutely. That's a huge, huge part of it. So, because you need to know that you can trust that person.
But, as we'll find out, watch out if that bond is broken, because the stakes are high.
The money makes people crazy.
Lou Perdue is a tech entrepreneur and the most respected wine writer in Napa.
Money is intoxicating, and when you mix money and wine, I think you get intoxicated to the second or third power.
How often does it happen that somebody comes in with a lot of money and not so much knowledge about wine, but just wants to be a part of this?
Every day.
Every day.
Back in 2011, a guy named Robert Dahl was about to get drunk on all that money. He decided to leave Minnesota, where he had an unglamorous mold removal business, and become a Napa Valley wine entrepreneur.
He had a booming voice. He was always the loudest guy in the room.
Just a big presence.
Yeah, big presence.
Miles Davis is an electrician who worked for Dahl almost from the beginning of his time in Napa.
You were friends with him initially when he was doing what business?
Selling and buying grapes.
Selling and buying grapes. That's one way of saying Dahl was in the lower end of the wine business. He wasn't making fine wines. He was bottling no-name wine, making what they call shiners.
The shiner is a bottle that doesn't have a label. And then he'd sell you that fruit. You put your own label on it.
Was he a good salesman?
Oh, great salesman.
Great
He could sell anyone.
So the wine didn't even have to really be that good. He could sell it.
Well, it never was really that good.
And he talked a good game.
He talked a great game.
And you knew enough to know that he didn't know a lot.
I knew that he had a good line of BS, which is fine, and it made him funnier.
It was part of his charm that he could BS?
Yeah, I loved it about him.
Dahl had moved to wine country with his wife and 3 children.
His family's amazing. They're just wonderful people. His wife's a very sweet, loving woman. The kids are amazing. In fact, they call me their godfather.
Within a couple of years, his bottling business was a big success, and Dahl liked to show it.
He showed up at my office with $10,000 and said, "Let's buy a Harley."
I'm sorry?
He showed up at my office and
with $10,000 in cash?
And said, "We're buying a Harley. You pay me back in the next few months or whenever." That's Robert. He was all about stuff like that.
Did he seem concerned about money?
No, never.
So it was in 2011 that Robert Dahl took his next big step toward his dream of making it big in the wine business. He linked up with that prince of the wine country, Dominic Fapoli.
I had met some people from Asia who were looking into getting into importing California wine.
Fapoli was young. He didn't have his own personal vineyard yet, and he needed more product.
I couldn't literally package wine fast enough because I didn't have my own facility. And so I met Robert. He was very new to this, but he was willing to work really, really hard. And he had a genuineness that he could project that made you want to trust him, made you want to like him.
Over the next year, Fapoli and Dahl became close.
We'd go out to dinner and hang out. And as a friend, he was always there. I could text him at 11 o'clock at night, and he'd get back to me.
Business was good. And one day, Dahl made him a proposition.
He called me up and said, "Hey, there's this place in your neck of the woods."
They'd buy their own vineyard.
And so I came over and I met him here, and I looked at this view in the vineyards, and literally an hour after sitting down with him, we drank a bottle of wine on this deck. I said, I'm in, let's do this.
Fopoli staked everything he had on this partnership, even his house.
You know, I said, this is something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to go all in, and I need you to be all in too. And he said, I got you.
Fopoli didn't think it would be a stretch for Robert Dahl.
I assumed that this was a fun little side project for him. I never had any reason to doubt that he was doing tremendously well.
Did you feel like he had your back?
Oh, completely. There was not, I didn't doubt for a second.
But almost as soon as the vineyard deal with Fopoli was closed, Dahl was looking for the next big thing. Sharing ownership in a vineyard wasn't good enough. He wanted to be the boss. To do that, he needed new partners. And then he found just the man he was looking for. A man with connections to the bright lights of Hollywood. With a gym bag full of money.
I directed a film called Jimmy Vested, American Hero.
It was a comedy.
It's a comedy starring a comic named Maz Jobrani.
I'm Jimmy Westwood, like Clint Eastwood, but Westwood.
Very funny film.
Hello, Mr. Carr.
Director and screenwriter Jonathan Kesselman was shooting the film's wedding scene when one of the extras struck up a conversation.
While we're sort of in between setups, we started talking. He said, hi, I'm Imad, I'm the investor in the film. And just a really nice guy, we chatted.
Imad Tawfilis was a young businessman from Silicon Valley.
What kind of actor was he?
He was a better humanitarian than an actor. He was a good extra. He was very good. He hit his marks.
Imad was principal investor in the film. He put up about $200,000, and Kesselman became friendly with him.
He was like a business person in tech, and I think he was excited to be not a corporate guy anymore. He had sort of made a lot of money, and he was tired of it and wanted to sort of explore other things in his life, things that he had passion for.
One of those passions was film. The other was wine. Imad invited his new film director friend and his wife to the fancy home he owned near the wine country.
It was just, you know, I love wine, you guys like wine, let's go wine tasting. He actually gave us his bedroom. His bedroom was very flashy. Like his bathroom he had redone, like there was a television inside the mirror of the bathroom, and he was very excited about his bathroom.
But wine was more than a passion for Imad, it was a driving ambition. In 2011, Imad Tawfilis got to know Robert Dahl, and they talked about the dream they shared of making it big in the wine business.
But this story isn't just about wine, it's about cash. Close to $1 million in cash. Now, if you're wondering what that looks like, well, so were we. So we got some Hollywood prop money, which looks a lot and feels a lot like the real thing. And this is how Robert Dahl did his next deal. $800,000 in cash in a gym bag.
The money came from that movie investor, Imad Tawfilis. In 2013, according to Imad, Robert told him that returns on his investment would be big, and if he invested cash, they'd get better deals. Imad was jumping into business with Robert Dahl with both feet.
It sounds like the perfect match. Robert, who supposedly knows about wine but doesn't have the money, and then Imad, who doesn't know a lot about wine but has the cash.
Exactly.
Remember, Dahl had already started a vineyard business with Dominic Fopoli, but that wasn't enough for him. Shortly after Dahl's partnership with Fopoli began, it ended. There'd been problems. Now Dahl wanted his own thing. He wanted his name on the bottle. Imad was going to make that happen. His investment, which now totaled $1.2 million, would help launch Dahl Vineyards. Imad was finally a player, and Dahl was center stage.
Welcome to Dahl Vineyards in lovely Napa, California.
He's a salesman. It's a show.
Did people seem like they were having a good time?
Oh, yeah, always. He pours good wine, and he pours it well, and
generously?
And generously, and it was a nice product. He did a nice job on that winery.
And the business prospered, so much that Dahl was soon able to repay Imad part of his investment.
And that's the thing. Everything that Robert Dahl touched seemed to be turning out golden. And it was happening so fast Now, armed with Imad Tawfilis's money, Dahl was on his way to being everything he wanted to be, the big man in Napa. Did he exude confidence?
He exuded confidence. Oh my gosh, like nobody I've ever met before in my life.
That same year, Dahl started up another brand new business with that Napa couple, Francine and Greg Knittel.
This is just an abstract vineyard scene.
They'd been pursuing their passions in Napa for years. Francine did her art.
So Napa clearly inspires you.
Yes, definitely.
And Greg's construction business.
This is one of our custom remodels.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Built some of the area's nicest homes and tasting rooms.
Oh, look at the ceiling. It's like the Sistine Chapel. Some of this stuff I feel like we can't show on television, but...
Life was good.
Every time we come home, we just say to each other, look at where we live. We're so blessed.
And there was no hesitation when the new guy, Robert Dahl, came into their lives.
He was very outgoing, charismatic, hardworking.
Very hardworking.
So it seemed like a good guy to partner up with.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Dahl and the Knittels started a craft beer brewery, a business that created fancy, handmade beers. Greg was a handy partner for Dahl. His construction company built the brewery.
What did he promise you?
Well, that we were going to have a reputable business that we would be able to hand off to our kids.
And he pointed at this mansion that's right off the Silverado Trail. And he looked back at me and he said, you know what? Greg and I are going to make so much money that he's going to be able to buy a house like this for you someday.
The business was off to a good start. They added a brew pub.
I mean, we had the best beer ever. Our restaurant was booming. The brewery was within 3 or 4 months. It was incredible. It was incredible.
Francine and Greg even became close friends with Dahl and his wife, Janelle.
We did everything together for a year, and it was it was going really well, really, really well.
He liked to live well. You know, he couldn't live in a 3,000 square foot house. It had to be a 5,000 square foot house.
It was all about looks.
He didn't have to have one brand new motorcycle. He had to have 2 brand new motorcycles. I'm sure you'll play the video of him after the Napa earthquake.
In fact, I have that video right here. This was taken after the 2014 earthquake in Napa.
If an East Coaster's thinking about coming to Napa for harvest season to have some nice wine and have a few dinners, is it time to call that vacation off?
Oh, absolutely not. Everything is back going in wine country. It's a great time to visit wine country, see some grapes being crushed, taste some fresh juice, and really take in the wine lifestyle.
Man, listening to him, it almost sounds like he could be the mayor of Napa. But things aren't always exactly as they appear to be.
Remember Dominic Fapoli, Dahl's former partner? Dominic had been running the winery, and Dahl was running the books.
We're selling a bunch of wine. I mean, the winery was a hit, but there wasn't enough money to keep paying our bills, which I didn't understand, I didn't get.
Where's the money going?
Where's the money going?
Where's the money going? That was the question plenty more people in the wine country were about to start asking. By 2014, the new Dahl Vineyards seemed to be taking off. Robert Dahl and Imad Tawfilis, the two ambitious entrepreneurs, were living their dreams. Robert himself running the show.
Greetings from Dahl Vineyards.
And Imad, silent partner, providing the money.
Enjoy.
But what Imad didn't know was partnerships with Robert Dahl had a way of turning sour. Remember Robert's first vineyard, the one he shared with Dominic Fapoli? One day, Dominic got a phone call from their lender.
I'm starting foreclosure proceedings on you guys.
Foreclosure proceedings?
Foreclosure, yeah, because we had missed our first payment to him as for the winery. So I called Robert and he said, you shouldn't be worried about that. I've got all that covered. And I said, are you kidding me?
Fapoli went ballistic.
And this is my dream, and we were successful in everything we were doing.
His life savings and reputation were on the line. He had to get rid of Dahl.
So my family and my partners, my brother and my best friends, and came around and said, we'll do whatever we need to do and let's get this guy out.
Fapoli got control of the vineyard, but he had to pay Dahl to go away. He was bitter.
You know, I introduced him as my partner, my friend. So I brought him into that circle of trust that we have here. Everybody welcomed him with open arms because I vouched for him. I had never been burned before. I was naive.
And it turns out Fapoli wasn't the only one.
No one that ever put money into something that he was doing was ever going to get anything back.
Steve Birch knows. He's a winemaker who worked for Dahl. Back when Dahl looked like he was the golden boy of wine country, Birch introduced him to celebrities. For the comic and TV personality Adam Carolla,
thank you so much for enjoying this.
He bottled a sangria called Mangria.
We made money on it, but I know that there was a significant amount of payment for that Adam never received.
And there was the rapper E40.
You a loser? Nope. Winner? Yep.
He had Dahl package some wines for his label, Earl Stevens Wines.
We started his product and it went really well, but I know he wasn't paid either.
Nope.
And there was Birch himself.
I left with him owing me a lot of money.
Can you give me a ballpark?
Yeah, we'll say it was well over $10,000.
The same thing happened to Dahl's friend, electrician Miles Davis. Dahl owed him $15,000.
Did you ever see that money?
No.
But you were friends with him again?
Yeah, because he's a great, yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, it wasn't about the money. It was about, you know, there was concerns that he was in trouble. So I didn't feel like my little $15,000 was anything to worry about.
Because he was getting underwater.
Yeah.
Did you say anything?
No.
No?
No.
Did you figure he'd find a way out of it?
Yep. I hoped he would.
And then there was Francine and Greg Knittel. Just a few months after the successful debut of the brewery they started with Dahl and a well-known brewmaster, the business started slipping.
I got the first inkling that Dahl wasn't what he says he was because a friend of mine went to his brewery, and I put quotes around that, because the friend of mine liked craft beer, and he wasn't making beer at his quote-unquote brew pub.
Apparently, by the time Lou's friend stopped by for a drink, the brewery was no longer making its own beer.
He wasn't making beer at the brewery?
No, he was buying kegs from somebody else. And when this friend of mine came face to face and told him about that, he just went ballistic.
Like he'd been found out.
Like he had been found out.
Dahl's partners, Francine and Greg, say they didn't know what Dahl was up to at the brewery, and they were shocked when Dahl came in one day and announced he was shutting down the whole thing.
Robert's sitting there and he goes, guys, the brewery's not making enough money. I'm going to close the doors.
Francine and Greg say they not only lost $250,000 of their own money, they'd encouraged friends to invest too. And unlike Miles Davis, they felt personally betrayed by their friend, Robert Dahl.
What gets to you the most?
Somebody that we trusted had this capability, Robert knew the whole time gonna pretty much screw us over.
But no one felt more ripped off than Imad Tawfilis. He thought he'd invested more than $1 million in a vineyard. Instead, Dahl diverted the cash, spending it on his lavish lifestyle, the brewery business, just about anything else.
Dahl had stopped paying back the money he borrowed, and Tawfilis hired a lawyer. He was angry, he wanted his money, and he wanted to find out everything he could about Robert Dahl.
You amassed a pile of information about Robert Dahl.
This is the pile of liens that Robert had against him. Civil judgment from Ford Motor Company, $19,000. Allied Building Products Company, $61,000. $53,000, $7,900.
Oh my goodness.
So
Imad hired Dawn King, who has her own special niche in Napa Valley.
Well, I'm a private investigator here in Napa, and I was an FBI agent for 10 years.
An FBI agent?
Yes.
So you can smell a rat?
Well, I'd like to put rats in prison anyway.
Don started digging.
So he was just not paying his bills. I mean, he was just like, charging credit cards. Here's the Federal Credit Union, $53,000. And then you get into his lawsuits.
A lot of what Don discovered happened back in Minnesota during the years before Dahl came to Napa. But to Don, it told a story.
This is the theft, one of his theft charges.
One of his theft charges?
Yeah, he had two. This was the theft by swindle. So
he actually was convicted of theft by swindle.
He was.
Thefts and swindles got Dahl thrown into jail, not once, but twice back in Minnesota, and left him a convicted felon.
I mean, this guy was a criminal.
Now, here in the wine country, Dahl seemed to be scamming again. Every time he'd get a business investment, the money seemed to go right into his pocket. Was this kind of a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, except that no one got paid. It's usually in a Ponzi scheme, the first people in get paid.
But at this point,
but no.
Robert did.
Right, Robert got paid, but Robert spent all the money.
In 2014, wine reporter Lou Perdue began to uncover the swindles Robert Dahl was pulling right here in Napa Valley. He started blogging what he found, and guess who responded?
And those are his comments.
Robert Dahl.
Those are his comments, and then he starts to rant paragraph.
Oh, I see this, the
by
caps
paragraph,
in red.
By paragraph.
Oh my goodness.
Everything in big red capital letters just keeps coming.
Oh my goodness.
And it
This
comes,
is like one of those magic scarves.
And it comes, just ranting and ranting and ranting. I think I measured this at 26 feet.
And what did this say to you?
This says to me the guy was off his nut.
Things were really heating up. Both sides were suing, and it looked as if things were headed for a showdown.
Ahmad was just like so crazed, and he was becoming like a desperate man. Oh my gosh. I mean, I used to get 10, 15, 20 phone calls a day.
Ahmad Tawfilis was angry, very angry. He wanted his whole investment back, but it wasn't looking good. How desperate was Ahmad?
He was a desperate man. On a scale from 1 to 10, he was about a 9.
He was not going to let someone like Robert Dahl take advantage of him and bully him into being submissive.
Attorney David Weisblood.
Ahmad came to me saying, I have this problem. So I looked at it and said, yeah, you have a problem. So we devised a strategy.
That strategy was to hammer Robert Dahl in court and force him to pay up.
So the strategy was file a lawsuit in Napa to basically get control of the collateral and to prevent stuff from disappearing.
That collateral was mostly the wine tanks and all the equipment used to make the wine. And what happened?
Robert didn't roll that. Well, what happened, I had, in a 4-month period, 19 court appearances in the Napa court, which is crazy. I mean, the short answer is the Napa court issued an injunction against Robert saying, you can't sell inventory, which in effect should have shut down his winemaking and wine selling operations.
That all belongs to Ahmad, basically.
Right, pretty much.
Even though Ahmad was winning in court, Robert Dahl was doing everything he could to cheat. He was even secretly taking equipment and trying to sell it off.
Well, Robert at that point had started hiding equipment, hiding whatever he could. He started moving stuff.
But Robert Dahl's attorneys, Jasmine Dwal and Kusha Barakim,
there's a lot more than the headlines,
say Dahl was a clever businessman, but he was no crook. You think Robert's mindset was, I'm going to take this, but I'll be able to pay it back and everything's going to be okay?
Absolutely. I think he had every intention to pay back the entire loan.
Dahl's lawyers believed Dahl was a stand-up guy, that classic all-American risk-taking entrepreneur who puts it all on the line and at the last minute comes out a hero.
The business was growing. and it was not a Ponzi scheme or house of cards.
I was shown a document that says Robert Dahl was convicted of swindle in Minnesota.
If you look at that document again, you will see that that goes back to when he was about 19 or 21 years old or so.
But still, people look at that and say, once a con man, always a con man.
Robert definitely had his share of failed ventures before as well.
But you don't think that proves that he's a thief?
Not at all. A thief takes money and runs with it. A thief doesn't go to court. He was a risk taker, and when you take risks, sometimes you end up harming other people as well. But our system is set up for that.
In the wine business, Dahl's lawyers say, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And they insist Imad Tawfilis was the real villain in this business deal.
You think this was a scam for Imad?
Absolutely. How would one come up with that much cash, and why?
It's still a mystery where all that cash came from. But Dahl's lawyers say Imad was so angry, he was determined to destroy Robert Dahl's business.
His barrels of wines were taken. His cars were taken. His brewing systems were taken. He was in an impossible place.
With no business to operate, Dahl couldn't earn any money to pay off the debts he owed to Imad and others. And then, surprisingly, there was a breakthrough. It looked as if Imad might get more of his money back.
The lawyers had come to a deal, and Imad and Robert were going to get together to hammer out the details. Robert wanted to meet here at his vineyard.
I went to my office Monday morning, and I got a phone call from Imad. David, I've decided to go to the winery.
On that morning, I was on the phone, and Imad's attorney was on the phone.
Imad and Robert were there in person. Their attorneys joined them on a conference call.
There was a definite agreement on what was going to be paid to Imad. It was just so eerily calm.
It was eerily calm.
It was eerily calm.
But then Robert Dahl rocked the boat.
And he said, well, I don't give an S what the lawyers negotiated. This is my offer.
What seemed to be a nearly done deal suddenly started unraveling.
Which was several $100,000 less than what was agreed to.
The lawyers felt it was a breakdown that Imad and Robert should deal with themselves.
They were both business savvy, and this was something that they both could have easily handled.
So both lawyers got off the phone. Both expected to hear right back from their clients.
20 minutes go by.
We had no idea what was going on.
I don't hear from Imad.
I was expecting a call.
Then I got an email saying there was a shooting.
I got a call from Mr. Weisblatt. He said, Kusha, tell me this didn't really happen.
You thought Imad lost it?
I thought Imad lost it.
We both thought that.
That's the winery up at the end of the row.
Down at the end of the row there?
Yeah, up at the end of the row.
On March 16th, 2015, Imad Tawfilis and Robert Dahl had finally gotten together to try to settle their ugly dispute.
They'd been meeting one-on-one in a room inside that barn over there at Dahl Vineyard. The lawyers were on the phone on a conference call, but just a few moments after everything started, they hit a snag.
Imad wanted to settle it, and Dahl wanted to settle it.
But something went wrong.
Clearly, they can't come to an agreement down there in the vineyard.
Not only couldn't they come to an agreement, all hell breaks loose. There's a burst of gunfire, and evidence shows the men come tumbling out of the barn. One has a gun. He's firing. The other man is wounded, running for his life into the vines.
They can't agree, and suddenly one person takes off down these rows, like in between these grapes here.
Right.
Running through here.
Right.
Imad and Robert both take off, one hunting the other.
Running down the row, being pursued by the other one who is shooting at the guy who became the victim.
Is shooting through these grapes just as the guy's running.
It's a wild chase, something out of a movie. The hunted man desperately dials 911.
He's calling 911 as he's running through the vineyard.
He's still running even though he's been shot.
Right.
So what does the shooter do?
The shooter knows he can't catch the victim, so he goes back to the winery, gets in his car, and drives over, hoping to cut the victim off as the victim runs out. As the victim gets here, he tells 911 that he can see the deputies arriving here.
So he's saved. He can see the deputies.
And the shooter comes around, gets out of his car, and shoots the victim in the head with a fatal shot as the police cars are arriving.
So the shooter gets out, basically stands over the guy?
Yes. Delivers the coup de grace.
While the sheriff's deputies were right there.
The sheriff's deputies were arriving right at this corner.
And this is where it all ended. The winery these two men had dreamed of building together. Imad Tawfilis was lying dead on the ground, murdered by Robert Dahl.
He knows it's all over. I mean, he knows that no matter what he does, he's been caught. He can't talk his way out of it. So he gets in the vehicle, drives up a terrible road here where there are very few outlets. And as the police are closing in on him, he shoots himself in the head and kills himself.
Kills himself.
All over. The final bad life choice on a crooked life that's led all the way back to Minnesota.
It's hard to say what set Robert Dahl off that day. It certainly seems the crime was premeditated. Dahl had brought a gun, and remember, he was a convicted felon and he wasn't allowed to own one. And at that final meeting, he pulled out a bizarre document that he wanted Tawfilis to sign, a document that seemed almost insane.
That was basically a manifesto that Imad was trying to ruin his life. This was supposed to be a confession by Imad that it was all a hoax and it was all his fault.
So the idea is Robert pulls out this crazy manifesto and says, sign this.
And he pulls out a gun and says, sign this.
There was evidence that Dahl may have been ready to kill more people.
Duct tape, flex cuffs, a tarp, gloves.
And there was ammo, more than 750 rounds.
A magnetic gun holder that goes on a car.
So you could hide the gun.
Yeah. To me, that is a murder kit. I mean, plain and simple.
I think he was trying to figure out how to kill the people that had brought him down.
And that theory fits what we've discovered here in Napa. In the course of our reporting, so many people told us they too could have been victims. There was Don King, the dirt-digging private eye.
Could have been me running through the vineyard. Could have been.
Lou Perdue, the dogged wine journalist.
I think I was probably number one on his list to kill because I was the guy who blew the whistle on everything.
Francine and Greg Knittel, who filed a criminal case against Dahl.
My first thought was that could have very easily been Greg.
And Imad Tawfilis' attorney, David Weisblood.
It certainly could have been me. And I'm sure that it would have been.
There was even that prince of the wine country, Dominic Fapoli. You think he would have killed you too?
Oh, yeah.
Finally, we were left with one more question.
This month's wine club shipment includes our...
How could Robert Dahl have convinced all these people to believe in him?
Robert Dahl was an Academy Award-winning actor when it comes to convincing people to trust him.
How did he not get found out?
Nobody checked.
People like this, they keep
Exactly.
moving, destroy somebody else's life for their own good, their own benefit.
Imad Tawfilis' murder haunts almost everyone he knew in the wine country.
You think about this case every day?
I do. Yeah. 2 years plus.
Dominic Fapoli says back when he and Dahl were still partners, he tried to warn Imad.
I said, I want to give you a heads up. I'm having all these issues with Robert.
You warned him.
Yeah, we sat here on this deck and, and talked.
How did you hear about what he did?
Somebody pulled up their phone and they showed me the article, what had happened. I was just in shock. And immediately, honestly, I started crying, and it was a mix of guilt because I guess I didn't do enough to warn Ahmaud about him.
Jonathan Kesselman, the director, felt deeply about Ahmaud.
He was a really sweet, kind, generous guy, and I just felt like I needed to say that, just so it's on the record. There's some legacy of Ahmaud where, he was remembered. He was a good person.
As for Robert Dahl, he may have shown up in Napa with a grand vision. But in the end, he brought his dreams and those of so many around him crashing down.
He wanted to be that guy that had a vineyard and had wine with his name on it. He wanted to live the life of the big fish. He was a little fish.
This is not your typical wine story.
No, it isn't. And one that we don't want to hear about around here again, for sure.